Hey, it's Kaero. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to this next episode of generating and rating magic cards using artificial intelligence. If you like the video, please hit that thumbs up for me. Consider subscribing for future episodes and more magic content. And without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, kicking things off, we have Tario Power Tide. 2 blue, 4 generic for a Merfolk Wizard. 4/3 power and toughness. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, draw a card. Pretty good for blue base control. If you play this in a Azorius deck, you have a lot of sweepers, you have a lot of counter spells, you have bounce effects, things like that. You can put this down on turn 6 after you stabilize the board, and it just really helps you draw into more win conditions, big instants and sorceries, things like that. I think this is probably like a 7 or an 8. What's the flavor text? Wherever I look, I see wisdom. There's nothing so useless as to become attached to any idea or dream. That kind of fits with this. The art's really cool. I think it's like a 7 or 8. Next we have Adherent Doctor. 1 blue, 2 generic for a human wizard at 1/3. When Adherent Doctor enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature card from among them and put it into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. We've seen effects like this be good in the past. This is amazing for limited. This could even see constructed play. It's 3 mana for in a control deck for a 1/3. It has a high toughness. It can block 2/2s. It can trade with 3/1s, things like that. And then when it enters, you don't only get to draw a card. You get to look at the top 3 of your library. You can also reveal a land and put it into your hand. So if you're missing lands, this is going to help you with that. I think this is probably a 6 or 7. If you draw this late, it's not the end of the world. So you have 7 or 8 mana out. You play this, then you get to scry 3, put one of those into your hand, and that could find your win condition. This might be an 8. I think it's pretty good. Let me know what you think in the comments. Ooh, okay. Tribal Char, 1 red, 1 generic for an instant. It's a Phyrexian Char, meaning the tribe is Phyrexian. Very cool. Tribal instant. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and have haste. So this needs to be built around. This is not necessarily bad, it's not necessarily crazy, but if you have some effect that brings in a lot of tokens at once, say you have a thing that makes a bunch of 1/1 tokens or something, you could have this in your deck and pay 2 and give them all, make them all 2/1 and have haste. So this is good in a token-based aggro deck. It's in the right color. It's in red. These are the effects that you want in red. The haste thing is weird because you can't get full impact from this card by just playing a bunch of goblins and then playing this and they all have haste, because they're all going to be out for a turn or more. But if you can slam a bunch of different creatures at once and then play this, pretty good. I think it's like a 5. Test. All caps. The title is Test. 1 blue, 2 generic for an instant. Draw 2 cards. If you control no artifacts, draw 2 cards. So you just need to have no artifacts in your deck, and then it's a 3 mana draw 4 cards. Alright. What's the flavor text? If you're not ready to trust the information, we'll replace it with a storyteller subtypes. That feels threatening to me, but it's like vaguely threatening, so I feel threatened, but I don't know actually how. And that is said by exchange life sentences with their epic secret meanings and secrets. Okay, feel threatened. This is a great card. The fact that it's named Test means that the card is automatically 11 out of 10, but even just rating it as a 3 mana instant draw 4 cards if you have no artifacts is like, it's like a 9, 10, something like that. 10. Angelic Favor, 1 white, 1 generic instant. If you control a permanent, you may pay 2 life. If you control a colorless permanent, you may pay 2 life instead. Okay, what are we getting in return for our payment of life? Is it offensive of me to ask that? Should I just accept the Angelic Favor? Like, listen, you can pay 2 life if you have an artifact or colorless permanent. Pay 2 life instead. Like, what do I get? How dare you ask that? Just accept the Angelic Favor. This guy asking all kinds of questions. What's the flavor text? To my God and my kinfolk, this day was holy to me. I offered my soul to the gods and my body to the freeborn. Yeah, you're offering your soul and body by playing this card because you're just paying life for no reason. But I guess it pleases the angels, and if it pleases the angels and gets us their favor, then I guess we'll do it. That being said, this card is a 0. It's not good. Warbreaker. Mm-mm. 1 red, 3 generic for a human shaman, 2/2. 1 red, 1 generic, tap it. Warbreaker deals 1 damage to target creature. And it's a 4-drop 2/2 that pings something for 2 mana. It's not very good. What's the flavor? A constant fear breeds in its keepers. I love the flavor text. It's great. It's like, hey, we got that Warbreaker over there. It's acting kind of weird. Like, it kind of freaks me out. Uh, I know my job is to keep the Warbreaker, but like, I don't want to get near it. You know, this is what it is. Yeah, this card's like a 2, but the flavor text is great. Here we have a gold card, Elemental Varus the Seizure. It's gold, but it only costs 1 blue and X. And it's a Sorcerer's Reward, instant. Reveal the top X cards of your library, so you can pay whatever you want for this. You may put that card into your hand, put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle. So I'm going to assume it's saying you may put 1 card into your hand from the top X, and then you put it into your graveyard and then shuffle, and then so you just take that card and do things with it, then shuffle your library. Okay, that doesn't really do anything other than just makes you shuffle your library. I guess when the card, it's an instant, so I guess when the card goes to your graveyard, you can then like reanimate it at instant speed or do something with graveyard interaction. What's the flavor? Reveal the top X cards of your library. The top X cards of your library form a face down library. The wind can hide them in a random order. It's a 10. It's a 10 for me. This is the Sorcerer's Reward for me. It's a 10. Absolutely love it. That's it. No drawbacks. It's the biggest bomb that I've ever seen. Lilianas Enthralling. 1 black, 2 generic. It's a black card with Liliana's name in it. That's actually really cool design on the part of the AI. Instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. Okay, normally we want to pay 2 for this type of effect, but this is fine and limited. Like if you're in a sacrifice deck or something, especially if you're in Rakdos, you just like take one of their creatures, sack it, draw 2 cards. Fine. It's like a 4. But I really enjoy that it's called Liliana's Enthralling, that it's in black. The flavor text is, what do you expect when you look back at the night you've spent counting the shadows? Also relevant flavor text for a black card. Very cool. It's a 4. So here we have Odorizing Captain, the Mercenary. 1 white, 2 generic for a human creature, 1/1. When captured. When captured, he odorizes you. You capture him and he goes, all kinds of odors. Don't know what kind of odors, but that's fine. What's the flavor? There are a few legends to see if they could keep up with it, but there are several, not many, that measure in excess of 1. 1 in particular stands out. That reminds me of that that meme, that clip of that kid that's like, if you ever had a dream where if you go in your dreaming and your that would you right? It's the same thing. There are a few legends to see if they could keep up with it, but there's several, not many, that measure in excess of 1. 1 in particular stands. I think it's a 0. Not playable. So here we have another gold card, Aetherborne Dragon. 1 red, 1 blue, 2 generic, 4 cost total for a dragon creature at 3/3 flying. Pretty decent rate, but it also has fire breathing. So you can tap, spend a red mana, and it gets +1/+0 till end of turn. So you can swing in with this. Your opponent's not thinking much of it. You can tap multiple red mana, make sure they get hit for 4, 5, 6, something like that. The flavor text just says Selesnya, which I find amazing, right? Is that the target of the Aetherborne Dragon? Because technically, these are enemy colors to Selesnya, so the Aetherborne Dragon was born, it was just like, Selesnya, we're going. 4-drop, 3/3 flying, fire breathing, okay. I think it's like a 5. For limited, it's very good. Yeah, we'll give it a 5. Next up is our first green card, Nava Shaman. 1 green, 2 generic. Human Shaman for 2/2. Okay, decent power and toughness for 3. Whenever a Nava Shaman deals damage to a player, that player sacrifices a permanent. Okay. So 3-drop, they have to deal with this. Otherwise, you're attacking. If they don't have any creatures out, they take 2 damage. They have to sacrifice a land. If they have a creature out that they don't block with, they have to sacrifice that creature, enchantment, whatever it is. This is very potent, especially with green. If you can ramp this out on turn 2, start attacking with it on turn 3, it has to be dealt with. If you make it unblockable, they just start sacrificing permanents, right? This is like an 8 or 9. This is probably a 9. I would say if it was a 2-drop, it would be a clear 10. The fact, or maybe if it had like higher power, so that way they would have to make bad blocks with it. But this is quite powerful. This is a 9 for sure. Maybe higher than that. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm talking about standard here, so if there's other formats that you're taking into consideration, give me a comment. And the flavor text is the sacrifice was intended to be painful. Outstanding flavor text on this card because it is very painful if they have to sacrifice something. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9. Next up, we have Shivan Giant. 1 red, 3 generic for a giant creature. 3/3 giant creatures you control have haste. And that apparently means they can't be blocked by except by creatures with power 2 or less. So usually we see this effect that they can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. But this is saying that you can't block the giants with big creatures, you have to block them with small ones. Very interesting here. And we're going to say 2 different ratings. If you take this as giant creatures you control have haste and they can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, this is really a much better card than if you define haste as they're defining it here. So if you define haste as the blocking thing, it's probably like a 3 or 4. If you say that they also have haste, meaning they can all attack the turn that they come down and can't be blocked except by creatures with power 2 or less, I think it's probably like a 6 or a 7. I would like to see they can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, not except, because I think the opposite is a much more powerful effect. But I think it's still like a 6 or 7, giving all your giants haste. This one is just simply called Includes, all lowercase. 1 blue, 4 generic for an Eldrazi creature. And it's a 3/3 flash for 5, okay? It has Encore. And Encore means whenever this creature attacks, if it isn't cast this turn, I guess it means wasn't cast this turn, create a token that's a copy of a creature token you control. It gains Flying, Trample, and Haste, and exile it at the beginning of the next end step. So if this created a copy of another like non-legendary creature that you control, like a token copy, this would be pretty good. But the fact that the initial creature that you have to copy is a token means it's narrow in that way, so this has to be token only deck. But it does have a potential to make a big Flying, Trample, Haste token, and then you exile at the beginning of the next end step. So I'm not going to say this is bad. It could really stomp somebody if you had big tokens. I'm failing to kind of pull up big tokens or things that would be worth copying in my mind here, especially in standard over the last few years. Tokens are usually kind of small. They're like little 1/1 humans or whatever, or like little spider tokens. So I don't know. It's all dependent on if you can make another huge token to make it worth the copy. I'm going to say it's like a 4, 5 maybe, because it's very narrow. That's like probably like a 4. Next up, we have Humble Grunt. 1 black, 3 generic for a goblin. There are black goblins. Okay, so this is like right on there. For a 2/2 flying, and when Humble Grunt enters the battlefield, target creature gets -2/-2 till end of turn. That's not bad at all, especially this would kill in limited. So for 4/4, you get a 2/2 flyer. You can play this and just straight up kill a 2/2 or a 3/2. You can play this pre-combat, make their 4/4 a 2/2 if you're attacking with a 3/3, demotivate them to block. Or you could play this post-combat after you attack with things. Say they have a 4/4 on the field, you attack with a couple 2/2s, and whichever one they block, then this comes in after the fact and then kills that creature, and then you have a 2/2 flyer left over. So in limited, this is quite good. I could see it, especially at common, I could see this being very good. Probably like a 7 or an 8. Pretty good common. I don't see this being played in constructed. I just don't think I think it's overcosted for that, and the ability's not powerful enough. But in limited, this is kind of where it's at. I'm gonna give it like a 7. Here we have A. Booker's Prayer of Grounds. 1 white, 2 generic instant. Draw 2 cards in white at instant speed. This is automatically like a 9. because this is divination at instant speed in white, meaning that you could play mono white and then draw cards with it, so you don't even just splash blue or anything. This is actually really, really good. This would be insanely good in mono white decks. Even mono white control, getting that steady mana base and not having to worry about going into another color for card draw, insane. 10? Probably a 10. What's the flavor? Lord of the Gates is Lord of the Earth and King of the Celestial Court, protector of the church who controls the firmament. Kaero. Okay, I don't know really what that means, but that's fine. I'm putting Abe Booker's Prayer of Grounds in all of my white decks. I'm going to give it 10. Next, we have Rakdos Monastery. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add a black mana. Okay, right in the colors of Rakdos. One black, one generic. Tap it, sacrifice the monastery, add red or green mana. So it comes in tapped, and then it acts like a swamp. But then you're tapping 2 mana, and you have to sacrifice the land, but you're able to get green or red out of it. It's not very good, but I love the design. What's the flavor text? Rakdos means strength of life. And so it's an excellent war aftershock. I don't think Rakdos means strength of life. I think somebody in the cult of Rakdos is doing some propaganda on us. They're like, join the Rakdos cult. It means strength of life. We all love life here, and we're all strong together and good people. Awesome. No, I think it's like a 3. But I do like the design that a land would come in and add black mana, but then you could sacrifice it to like exert the land and get something out of the realm of it that it would normally be able to produce. I think this would be cool flavor if you tapped it and sacrificed it, it didn't cost anything, and you could add red or green. That would be actually really cool, because you could like, I just need green mana, I'm going to sack this land to do it, right? And that would be actually right up Rakdos' alley too. But the fact that you have to tap 2 mana to get 1 and sack a land is not good. So that's going to conclude this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, hit that thumbs up for me, share. It helps me to grow the channel. It really supports me. If you want to see more of these and more content, including arena gameplay from Dominaria United, card ratings, all kinds of MTG stuff, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.